my origin story, I would say, is very similar to Rob's. I started in the 90s. I mean, when I first started training, it was on a hard gym basketball court. I was just out of the military. I was at 24 Hour Fitness. I saw a guy wearing a Half Gracie shirt, and I didn't know who that was. I knew who Hoist Gracie was because I'd watched the first couple UFCs on VHS like everybody else. And so I just went up and started talking to him. He was a coach over at House in Mountain View. So I started doing privates with him on the hard gym basketball court inside 24 Hour Fitness. And he just showed me stuff like Kimuras. And back then, the wealth of information wasn't everywhere. And so it's like, what's this voodoo? You're showing me. And so I was absolutely hooked. And then the first actual gym I trained at was the original AKA, American Kickboxing Academy in San Jose. We both went over there, and he ended up becoming the coach there, the head jiu-jitsu coach there. And I stayed there until I moved to Vegas, trained with John Lewis and Mark Lehman for a number of years, and then in 2002 started training with Sergio Pena. And I spent my next 20 years with him until I retired and moved to Florida, where I'm coaching at Brazilian top team over in Florida now. As far as the law enforcement, like I said, very similar to Rob's. I had about 5 years training when I joined the department in the late 90s. And so once I got into field training, we got a pretty good, me and my FTO got a pretty good little knockdown, drag out fight. And we had it controlled. I ended up in the bathtub and I popped the guy's ankle and got him into custody, all good to go. But after that, the FTO was kind of like, you were like very, very calm. It was like you were very, very calm. And I was like, well, I knew we had it. There's a turning point. If you train, obviously, when you've got this person, it's just a matter of time that you're going to make it work. So after that, I started giving him privates after the shift was over every single day. And so it made the rest of my field training really, really easy because I kind of had this, the other FTOs were like, oh, he's got halo factor. And, so it made it kind of easy, but it wasn't something a lot of people were doing. And so I've had the same woes as everybody else through my career as far as trying to get people to train. And where we're at now is it really is amazing where we're at. Long way to go. So I'm not going to kind of rehash the same stuff we've been talking about all week. But we realize this isn't the norm. Okay, the people in this room, that's not the norm. The norm is the people who are not walking in these rooms, and we're still trying to convert. I think Jerry was saying in his department, maybe 25 to 30% of his department trains. That's incredible. I would think Vegas Metro, that's where I'm retired out of. We have about 4,000 officers. I would say it's probably more in the 2 to 3% range. I would say, I'd probably guess, let's see, at 4,000, 5% would be 200.
I think we might.
Do you think we have 200?
We might now.
I don't think we have 200. 200 would be 5%.
On the whole department, I think we have 200.
Okay, so maybe that's 5%. That's 5%. That's not. That means 95% hard. That's not big enough. So we have a long way to go, but we're in a much better place than we were when I first hired on. All right, so I'm going to cover some omoplata stuff. This is very sport, but to be fair, you could use, if you're on your back, you could use omoplatas to ultimately get up. There's a video recently of a cop ending up on his back. He hits that omoplata. A lot of you have probably seen it. It allowed him to get up on top. If nothing else, it's creating, if you don't even hit it, they have to respect it, and they're creating space. And if I'm on bottom, space is my friend. Okay, it gives me an opportunity to exploit that to maybe get back to my feet if I'm not literally coming up on top. But for the sake of this, we are going to tackle more as a sports side of it. So I'm going to, like I said, last class of the session, so I'm very submission oriented. I like to hunt submission. So that's what I'm going to try to give you guys. We're going to have a lot of submission options off of it. While we're moving, we can start hitting them. But I'm going to start from a knee in, knee out. Okay. Now, so the other thing about my jiu-jitsu also is I am not good with names. Okay. Last year, I think Erin, she was teaching a block, and before she started, I asked her, what are you going to be teaching? And she's like, oh, I'm teaching stuff from headquarters. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I know what it is now. So I'm like, what the fuck is that? So she starts teaching, and I'm like, oh, guard passing. Okay. I'm very much like, when I show certain things, and like, I have a big crucifix game, and there's a couple things I've come up with on that. They're like, what do you call it? I don't really have names for it. So I keep things relatively basic, so there might be some things I do that they're like, oh yeah, we call that this. And it's a shoulder lock, that's ultimately what we're looking at. So I'm gonna go knee in, one leg in, one leg out. So knee in, knee out. I'm gonna get head control, and I'm going to treat his elbow like a heel. Okay? Almost like I'm trying to heel hook this elbow. Okay? I'm gonna go a palm grip on his tricep. Okay? But I'm tight, I'm pulling him in, I'm affecting posture. Okay? It's also, realistically, we're talking about striking. It isn't easy for him to start striking me effectively from here because of where my knee is, and I'm controlling posture. But I'm taking this, I just like to settle here. Okay? I settle here like I'm doing a heel hook on this because it takes me where his out is. Okay? Where his out on the elbow is he has to draw it back. Okay? And that ultimately allows, he's not gonna draw through. So I'm just here, relatively tight. And this isn't hugely important, it's just where we're gonna start from. Because we can hit omoplatas from any spot. It's once we get to the omoplata, I'm gonna do something slightly different, okay? So I'm here and here. For those of you who are new and don't know how to do an omoplata, at the most basic level, all I'm going to do is make this foot touch my knee, okay? And then turn while not falling onto my back and getting some space here, okay? So at the most basic level, I'm just here, my foot goes to my knee, and I turn, okay? For those of you who know how to do omoplatas, we know what we're doing from here. Okay, so for the first one, just gonna be my regular omoplata, how I go to it. I'm gonna come over to my omoplata. Most people pinch the legs here, and they work their omoplata from here, even if they turn the corner, and even if they straighten this leg, okay? I want you to come over here and see the elbow. Especially guys who've been training a long time, because I know you all know how to do omoplatas. More than likely, you probably do it slightly different than me, and that's fine. But today, I want you to try this. The little detail I'm gonna do with the elbow. It's gonna feel slippery, like you're gonna lose it. Once you get comfortable at it, you're not gonna lose it. And what it does, most times we hit omoplata, and so I'm kind of shelving it on my other leg. Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to give up the elbow. Okay, I'm gonna give up the elbow, and I'm gonna staple that leg. Staple that arm. Okay, so I don't wanna be here. Okay, and I can show like, going posture hard. Okay, do it again. Okay, do it again. Okay, when I give up that elbow, it puts a lot of weight. Let's see, where's my? Cam. Not Cam. Please, Cam. Cam's a little no. Where's
No.
Where's your boy? I saw him earlier.
It's this guy right here. You're looking at this guy.
Well, I
Look
got
at this fucking guy.
The fucking incredible.
Now, let's be fair. I don't know if this is going to work. Okay. So once again, okay, I want you to posture up hard. I'm trying to be here. Go ahead. Posture up. And I'm trying to be heavy here. Okay, I'm going to straighten leg. Go posture up. Okay. Posture up. But every time he does it, I'll come back. Okay? Now really I'll get to here. Anytime I hit my omoplata, as soon as I come, you can posture up, fine. Yeah. So as soon as I come, I'm here, I'm automatically skimming this leg past my elbow, or past his elbow. I don't want to hold it here. Okay? Now there's things I can do when I hold it here, but for right now, what I'm doing, that's not what I want. So I'm here, I'm going to shotgun that. Okay? Go ahead and posture. Top. Okay. Go ahead and posture. Fine. Okay. If I give that elbow, okay, posture. Okay. Stop.
Mike, you're keeping the hand though. You're not losing the arm.
I'm not losing the arm.
You're just getting rid of the
And my
elbow.
omoplata, I really don't touch the arm. The only time I touch is when I get to here. Go. Ari's favorite is my wrist lock.
It's dark.
Because the wrist lock is easier to hit from here than it is from here. Yeah. Because I think it's just a matter of I really don't know why. It's just once I have here, it's a staple. He's only defending with this. Whereas when he's here, there's a little bit, if he can start making that muscle, I have a harder time trying to draw that in. But when I'm here, a lot of times I'll just come in my body. I'm always going to attack this first. But I don't get it. Now you see as far as how wide my legs are, I'll still come here. And to be fair, I'm not going to sit up yet in this case. I'm just
So you're not losing the elbow as much as you're replacing the leg with the floor.
Yeah. So I'm stapling. Instead of stapling on my leg, I'm going to staple it to the floor. Okay, so that's the big thing. I want to give that elbow. You're going to feel weird, like, oh, the person's going to slip out. Okay, so. And what might start happening initially when you go for this, and I'll try to kind of do it poorly, is I want you to slip your arm out when you can. Yeah, do it again. Is I allow that to happen, okay? Versus here, okay? I give it up, but I'm still here. I want to make sure this foot's on bottom, this foot's on top, but I'm just making sure I staple, okay? So, we'll start from here, okay? I got my grip, okay? I like to push the head, how we get there, maybe hook the face. All this is just what the preference is. But once I'm here, I shotgun from here, and I let that knee fly up. I want him to fly. If he ends up while we're battling, he goes and posture up, then I'm just here, boom, I'm taking it again. Okay? Now that starts to happen, I'll start.
That's next.
Yeah, that's next. Okay?
It's too strong, you made me feel better.
Yeah. So I really want to rocket that person down because I want his posture up. For finish just a regular omoplata, but it's also going to help me when I start moving on to other things. So the next bit of this, once I do this, I'm already reaching for the foot. That's why I'm not playing with his arm right now. I'm already reaching for this foot with a palm up grip. I'm looking for his hip. Okay. Why do you think I want to start getting this? What are the possible things he's going to start doing?
Roll.
Okay. One is an obvious roll. What's the next one? Cross the body, and that's more of a pain in the ass. If I get here and he goes knee slide across my body, okay, yeah, that sucks. Okay, because then also my legs become pretty vulnerable at that point. So as soon as I end up hitting this, as soon as I move, I'm already reaching for this. As I'm slamming down, I'm sitting up, and him flying down kind of helps me sit up, and I'm here and here. Okay. Now, if I'm working with regular omoplata, I'm just going to push in with a leg. I'm going to scoot myself away so I get him on his side. From here, now I'll finally curl my hands in and do a standard finish, just underhook, sprawling over him. I still have the option for the wrist lock, but that's when I'm finishing.
Do you prefer that than like able gripping or any kind of grip on the shoulder?
To lock through?
Yeah, like reaching forward like you did.
So I do that if I jump and roll.
Okay.
Like I had a tournament where I put a kid in omoplata. This was in Arizona, and I couldn't finish it. And I literally just grabbed. And to be fair, I wasn't doing it like this back then.
Yeah.
I still had the regular hook on the leg. That's how we used to do it. But I went and I dove, and it almost ends up being kind of a crucifix with a pinning combination. It's kind of what it ultimately looks like.
Okay.
But I'm just looking to hook at that point. I really only go here if I need extra pull or I'm not giving up the elbow. Okay, I'm keeping the elbow. I'm gonna take my foot. I'm gonna find his armpit. Okay, I'm gonna find his armpit and I'm gonna start moving myself to 90. Okay, I'm tight on here. It's relatively easy because Jerry's got big arms, but I want this knee and get where you can see. This one will get kind of jacked up. You don't know it. All right, this foot's not lazy. He's going to stay in the armpit the whole time. There might be times where I ultimately have to drag my leg down, but I want this knee to point to the floor. I don't want to be here. Okay? How it's going to finish, I'm here. I'm just going to start stretching out, and I'm getting the tap. Okay? That's the tap right there. I want to be 90. I want this knee perpendicular. Yesterday we had parallel perpendicular issues. I want it perpendicular. Okay? So I'm here. I want to turn it. And I'm going to put my hands back, and I'm going to slide my butt back, okay? So I'm here, I'm just sliding back. If I'm like this, it's not gonna work, okay? I need to open this up, okay? Turning my knee open. The more 90 or beyond 90 I get, the better. If I'm way back here, I don't get the same effect. I'm putting pressure on, and I'm starting to lose the arm, it's slipping out, okay? I'm here at 90, hands on the ground. I've sat up, I'm not laying back. I'm sitting up. This also stops him from really trying to slip the arm. If I'm back like this, the arm starts to slip and move around where I don't want it. Here, and I just slide my butt back. So boom, I'm here. I take this foot. I go to armpit. I'm already starting to move myself and scoop myself. And I want, like right now, Jerry's supporting my weight. I'll lift my butt off the ground so I can make that turn. Okay? And here, back. Okay, we get here, and it's like there's all this space here. She can just move around. Okay, when I have a big person, as soon as I cross over here, I just have it by default by connecting my legs. But because she's smaller, I have to close. I mean, I have to feed it like so much further. Okay, I can't have space here, so I'm here. I can still hit the same thing. Okay, I have to close that space. So if you end up pairing up with someone who's a lot smaller or smaller arms. You're going to get here like, yeah, this isn't really, like I'm going all the way back. It's not working. It's just there's too much operating space for her. You got to close that space off. Now, for most pair ups, the space is going to be closed as soon as you figure 4. Okay, but if it's not, I got to make sure I'm here until my knees are pointing up. I still have to get that knee pointed down. If he postures up hard, like I said, I lose this. It doesn't matter. I can still kind of start working the legs from here. But the downside, because I'm going to go backside 50-50. I actually know like a couple names. All right, I'm going to go backside 50-50. But my issue is how much he's sitting back. Okay, I don't like that. Okay, so when I'm going backside 50-50, I would like, if I could, have his hips in front of his knees, then great. But at least parallel. I don't want him being able to sit back because it makes it easier for him to sit out of it. Okay, so I'll kind of show it first. So I get here, duck in, boom. I get my mechanics.
Nice.
Okay. So that's what it looks like. Now there's a lot of little details on the backside 50. Like when people go backside 50, I know you know the right thing to do. Go ahead and put me on the backside. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this is pretty common, right? So as you go backside 50-50, people are here and they're stepping and they're sitting out. That's probably, I typically do that a lot when people go backside 50-50 because I can feel that they're not controlling my knee. Okay, so first just the initial mechanics of what I'm doing for this omoplata. Okay, I'm going to take this knee, I'm gonna push it, I'm gonna move it into the hole. Okay, I'm just gonna collapse this knee into the hole here, and bottom grip, on the ankle. I'm going to sit leg through. I'm gonna punch it through. Now you can figure for your leg. That's fine. It's not necessary. Okay, but when I get here, I will typically, I'll typically move in, then automatically cover this leg. Okay, all I'm doing, I'm getting my position set. Because if I just start saying, oh, I'm just gonna rush this, I already know right now I'm not ready to go, and he can sit out he can step out. So I want to make sure I'm covering this foot. Some people will put their arm there. My arms aren't that long, so it's a little bit tough. So I'll typically just grab while I'm setting up everything else, making sure I'm starting to lock this knee in. Okay. So once again, when I step through, I step. Okay, knee shoots through, and I just put this into my armpit. And I start with getting ready to secure and get my mechanics on the ankle. For me, I like to come in and really pinch at the toes. I go a palm down grip, palm down grip, just to finish my mechanics. I just want to close that space off. Okay, but until I'm ready for that, I'm holding on to this foot. Okay, the couple details are, I'm using this as a barrier, this knee, so I'm almost pushing into him. So what I don't want him to sit back. If he sits back into me, if he sits back, okay, now it's easier for him to make that turn. Yeah. I don't want him sitting back, so I'm creating this leg like a barrier. I'm pinching, but I'm more focused on this knee, this thigh is a barrier that he can't come back on. Okay, that's what I want. So I'm nice and strong. Even my leg comes out to here. It's not, I don't do that, but it's not that big of a deal. It's that I don't want him sitting back. Okay. Once I'm ready to go, I have my mechanics. The last thing I'm doing is I'm going to lay on this leg. I'm going to bridge into that knee. Okay, so right now, I have my mechanics. Can you go ahead? Yeah, can you roll?
I'm not going to roll.
No. Yeah, he can't back because there's too much pressure. If I have bad mechanics here, he can back step. He can back step. Okay, good. Go back. If I have good mechanics, but I'm not stapling that leg, like I have pretty good mechanics. I have pretty good mechanics here. Go ahead. Step. Yeah, he can still step out. Struggling a little bit. The better your mechanics are, the better it's going to be. Okay, but here I have that barrier, and you can turn down. As long as my hips are going into that knee, okay, I'm turning over. Okay, I know he doesn't want to roll out of that at that point. Listen, I can be here. That's fine. Okay. Hey, now we talked about that classic. The person ultimately, what's that classic escape they like to do? For omoplata, they roll. They go ahead and roll. He rolls. Okay. So yeah, there's so many things you can start transitioning to. But what we're gonna do is, as that roll happens, this will be the only time I do really hold on to an arm when they start to roll. So as I know that's happening, I'll just make sure I just want a little bit of control. I just want sticky. So he goes ahead and rolls. I'm just going to come up and I'm going to staple on top of that arm. It's probably a little uncomfortable, right? Okay, but it's not. The purpose is not to be uncomfortable. The purpose is it's hard for him to move it around. Okay, because I can sit here on the hip and it's hard for him to drag and escape that arm out. Okay, so I'm just laying right on top of that arm. So it's just stapling from my thigh to my calf. So the next thing I'm gonna do is, a lot of times we'll get here and we do the sit back if we go to triangle.
Yeah.
So I do it differently because I'm not really attacking the triangle. So my hands are going to go to the ground and I'm going to stretch my knee as far as it can go. Okay? I'm going to stretch my knee as far as it can go and I'm going to pick up his head. Okay? So I'm here, I stretch, and I do typically really aggressive, almost like I'm knee striking, I'm here. Okay? And I'm just pinching at this point. I'm nice and tight. I know this is uncomfortable, but I'm not going for discomfort, I'm going for control. So now all I'm doing here is I'm going to grab the hand and push it down my leg. Okay? I just got my shoulder lock there. So I get here, he goes to roll, I fold my knee in so I can come up and get to here. I automatically just sit back and get heavy. Okay? I'm just getting heavy at this point. I don't need to fight to make sure his arm stays there. I kind of ignore it. Now, if he does go straight with it, then I can't get this next thing, but people never really do it, and if it does, I'll just start taking it the other way, okay? So normally they just kind of sit there, so I don't even have to, I can start to cover my body with it, but people typically just keep it there. I put my hand to the ground, my leg stretches back. Because if I do this, I take the weight off, okay? And yeah, I can step back for that triangle, but he's already starting to post that in, and if we go live from here, I'm not getting a triangle. Okay, he's gonna end up coming out of that. So here, I just stretch my knee back and I bring it forward and I'm pinching hard, kind of puts a little bit of a side crank on his neck. You're not gonna get the submission on that, it's just for control. Posture up, take the hand, just push it down. I can grab the elbow and reinforce, but that's all it is. I also have my wrist lock here as well, okay? But that's what we're doing. This one, he goes ahead and rolls, my foot's going outward, I come up, I sit. The more of a stretch I have with my leg, the better. Okay, because the more of a stretch I have, it means the farther I'm going to drag his head back this way. If I start kind of prepping it and getting to here, I'm not getting the same effect that I look the other way, so I want to bash it. I don't want to bash it. This is kind of whatever, okay? But when I'm here, okay, I'm still stapled, and I stretch this back, okay? And now I bring it up. Okay, I want this being really uncomfortable. How's that feel? Okay. The more I have to stretch and pick that head up and bring it forward, the tighter this all becomes. I'm squeezing my knees pretty tight, and I'm just coming to here. So really, over-exaggerate, because the farther I go back, I'm just bringing that knee, and I do it, when it's real, I do it super, super aggressive. All right? So I will say, I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank Ari and Jay for having me, all the other cadre. I love coming out here. I've been retired like 3 years now. So some of the people in this room I only get to see when I come to Invictus stuff. And some of these guys I work with at other places. But it's just a great opportunity for me to be able to come out and and work with cops games. That was a big part of my career. But I know there's all varying degrees of levels here of belts. The ones that are starting out keep with it. I mean, we all know the classic is once somebody gets a blue belt, they leave. But the thing I've seen lately, when it comes to cops, I've seen when cops get their black belts. They've been calling it quits. That's wild to me. I haven't done anything in my life longer than jiu-jitsu. Okay, I've been doing jiu-jitsu 30 years. I've been married 24. I did 22, almost 23 on Metro. So there's nothing I have done longer than jiu-jitsu. I'll do it for the rest of my life. I'll do it until I can't do anything else until I die. I'll do jiu-jitsu. It's just such a huge part of my life. And obviously it brings a practicality, especially if you're still on the job. It brings, it's a necessity. But it also just builds so many good relationships. It's a good out from stress that you may find in other places. It's a good stress reliever. You build some incredible bonds. Some of my closest friends are people I've met since I started teaching away from the department. 9 people I worked with. Okay? I think me and Ari met I think the first time was in New York, Invictus, right? Yeah. Yeah. I'm meeting great people. I'm advancing my game because as I go around, I have a whole bunch of stuff with Jerry that I want to film afterwards, just some different foot mechanics and things like that, just so I don't forget them. So I'm continually trying to learn. Although I have 30 years doing this, it's there is just so much I don't know. Okay, and it's try to be that sponge. The last thing I'll say when it comes to training, you you don't just owe it to yourself to train. You decide to do this line of work. Okay, you decide to get into this, to this profession. You don't just owe it to yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, you're responsible for your own officer safety. I hope people say it all the time. As much as you want people to come and help you, you're responsible for that. A large part of being able to be a police officer is controlling other human beings. It would make sense to be good at that. Okay? And I say you just don't owe it to yourself. You owe it to your family, you owe it to your friends, you owe it to your partners. Okay? We've all probably had friends that have died in line of duty. Some of my best friends have been murdered in the line of duty. And they were savages. One thing I always kind of say, I got this from Chad, years ago, is there's no guarantee. You have no guarantees. There's no guarantee that you're going to come home at the end of the shift. But what my wife knew was if that happened, and that was my time, and force majeure, whatever it may be, and that was my last day on this planet. It wasn't going to be because I wasn't prepared. That wasn't going to be the reason. It wasn't going to be because I wasn't ready. It's just going to be. It happened. It was my time. It was beyond my control. Okay. You can't put yourself in a position where you're operating off hope. Hope is not a plan. Training's a plan. Okay. That's what you need to operate on. Okay. If my wife knew, once again, that if I didn't come home, it wasn't because I wasn't prepared. Because I was preparing every single day by coming in these rooms and training and putting work in. And I'm preaching to the choir here. You guys know this. You guys are the ones that are here. But it's really a message that has to go out. Because there's too many people that are doing this job that unfortunately have no business doing the job. Because they're not prepared. And they're making no efforts to get prepared. Okay? But not leaving on a somber note. But once again, thank you. I appreciate it. I absolutely love coming out here. I actually learned a lot this week, just off the other cadres blocks, little things I'm going to take home. I was making notes on my phone because I'll forget them. And then there's things from other students, when questions come up or they start doing something, I start asking questions. It's a great environment. I hope it continues to come and we continue doing this because it's just going to grow, the culture. So thank you. Appreciate it.